News 14 Carolina presents Discount Tire Friday Night Final.
Well, hello there. Welcome into the season finale of the Discount Tire Friday Night Final. I'm Ryan Welch.
And I'm Tim Bear. Throughout the season, we've brought you highlights from coast to coast leading up to this weekend's state championship matchups. We'll set the table for Saturday's games, so let's get it all started.
We start with the first of 8 title matchups, the 1AA final in Chapel Hill. That's where newcomer Pender took on veteran Albemarle. News 14 Carolina's Susie Stark shows us how it all unfolded.
The Pender Patriots making their state championship debut, taking on the Albemarle Bulldogs at Kenan Stadium. First quarter, Shaquille Hooper under center, and the handoff to Josh Johnson gets by 2 defenders for the 18-yard touchdown, 7-0 Patriots. Second quarter, Hooper again to Johnson as he's tackled, loses it, and the Bulldogs recover at the 28. Albemarle quarterback Nat Dunlap drops way back to the 50, goes long to Dylan Taylor with the catch at the 10 to the 5 and in for the score. Bulldogs tie it up at 7. And the Bulldogs weren't done yet. Nat Dunlap scrambles, throws the long bomb to Desi Dockery, who makes the circus catch in the end zone for the 35-yard score. Bulldogs by 7. And with a 21-7 score, Albemarle takes their 5th straight championship this decade.
It's a great win. Those guys played real hard. They've earned it this year. They did everything we've asked them to do and then more. I'm so excited for our program, excited for our kids, our fans, and everybody else. But really, this is a special feeling. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had this feeling in my life, actually.
It's my senior year state championship. I gotta grab this thing by the horns, and I've got to lead this team up and down the field, whether it's running, passing, however we got to do it. I mean, you ask anybody, any one of the 60, 70 of us, it's something we'll never forget, ever.
Now it's time to take a look at Saturday's games, and we'll begin with the 1A matchup kicking off Saturday afternoon between Wallace Rose Hill and Murphy. For Wallace Rose Hill, it's a return to the familiar. The Bulldogs stole the show with a thrilling 1-point overtime win a year ago, and now will play for it all again on Saturday in Chapel Hill.
Obviously, it doesn't hurt, but we had a group of juniors last year, the seniors this year, and when we finished playing in the fall and won the championship, when we came back after Christmas, they said, "Coach, we want to go back. Let's dedicate ourselves to doing that."
A glance at their run through the playoffs reveals one certainty. The Bulldogs' bite is indeed. In fact, Friday's 38-zip blanking of Plymouth means the Dogs have outscored the opposition 200-30 in the postseason.
Teams that I've always coached, we've always put up points offensively. We run a wing T offense, and there's a real fast-paced offense. I won't compare us to Oregon, but it's close to that fast of a pace of in and out and gone with the next place.
With guys like DeJuan McKenzie and Omar Carr racking up points at a PlayStation-like level, putting a leash on the Bulldogs won't be easy.
I think the Murphy crowd is really excited. It's about a 6.5 hour drive, so that's a long drive. But I think they'll make a trip.
You bet the folks in Murphy will be making the trip to the state final. Located some 330 miles west of Chapel Hill, fans of the other Bulldogs are about as charged up as their GPSs after a 42-0 shutout in the regional final. The offense has been there all season, but now the defense is stepping up too.
We kind of struggle with the defense. It's been good, but not real good, you know. And to win down here and go all the way, you got to be real good.
Geography makes it difficult for Murphy to find top-tier competition, meaning longtime coach David Gentry has had to look beyond the border for challenges.
Well, we think it really toughens us up. You know, it really we play good competition. We got to go into Georgia, and sometimes Tennessee, to do that.
The 1A state championship game kicks off Saturday at noon from Kenan Stadium.
We continue our high school football state championship previews with a breakdown of the 2A and 2AA matchups slated for Winston-Salem. News 14 Carolina's Jim Connors spotlights the 2A matchup between Carver and Tarboro.
Yes, the Tarboro Vikings are the defending 2A champs, making their 3rd straight appearance in the title game. But they lost 25 seniors from last year's squad.
I thought the key to our whole season was winning early, finding a way to win, getting some experience, and still keeping that confidence. And I knew if we could do that and win some big games, that come playoff time, we could be very tough to beat.
The 2010 edition of the Vikings has had to manufacture their success the old-fashioned way. They've had to earn it.
We're younger this year. We're not as talented and we're not as deep as a team as we were the year before. But these guys just, like I said, find a way, and it's taught us that many lessons that, you got to play for 4 quarters and you never quit.
It's fitting that Tarboro will have to face Carver in the Jackets' hometown of Winston-Salem.
Fans don't dictate the outcome of the game. I mean, when that ball's kicked off, it's about us versus Winston-Salem.
The Vikings have gotten to this point with a pair of 1,000-yard rushers, Todd Gurley perhaps being the most prominent.
I mean, he's the real deal. He's going to be Division I. He's already going to get offers from Carolina, Duke, State. This guy's about 6'1", goes about 190, runs about a 4.3 40. He's a man.
The Carver Jackets feature a stud back of their own. His name is Channon Crawford.
He's the kind of kid that you love to coach. Again, he's had a great year for us this year. Offensive Player of the Year in the Pac-6 conference.
The Jackets are getting stellar quarterback play from relatively inexperienced Madison Mills.
Madison, this is his first year playing high school football. But he is the type of kid that studies the game. He wants to learn more about the game. He's had a great off season. He was there every day working as hard as he could possibly work.
The Jackets shocked the football world, taking out previously unbeaten Lincolnton last week. Coach Melvin Palmer Jr. spreads the credit around for that accomplishment.
We have 11 high schools in Winston-Salem, so we don't really have the luxury of playing small schools. What we do is we play large 4A schools, and they're as good as they come. And we know that year in and year out we're going to play those schools. But the beauty of that is it prepares us for a Lincolnton or for a Cummings for a Thomasville.
Carver and Tarboro lock horns for the 2A title Saturday at 3 in Winston-Salem. Jim Connors, News 14, Carolina.
The 2A matchup at BB&T Field in Winston-Salem will be followed by a nightcap featuring Northeastern and Salisbury, who go head-to-head for the 2AA title. Once again, News 14 Carolina's Jim Connors checks in to preview the matchup.
They don't claim us in North Carolina. They call it Elizabeth City, Virginia. We're so far away.
And for that reason, the Northeastern Eagles have to travel to face quality competition. They took their lumps early, but the aggressive scheduling paid off.
That turned the whole tide of the year. Look at those games as preseason games. They didn't really count, to get ready for the conference.
Speaking of turning the tide, that's what Lorenzo Holly has done ever since joining Northeastern's program.
Well, Lorenzo's a first-year player, track star. He ran like a 9.800, and he never played football before. So in the spring, I used to see him in the hallways. I said, Lorenzo, you need to play football. And it's almost like he was waiting for me to ask him. That I should have asked him 3 years ago.
Another top talent for the Eagles, Denzel Ward.
Denzel Ward, the heart and soul of the defense. Has over 100 tackles, 8 sacks, just a tough kid.
On the offensive side, Mason James is the guy who carries the mail and has helped the Eagles soar to new heights.
The team has a whole county area on their back, and hopefully we can go there and play well.
While Northeastern is breaking new ground, 2AA Western champ Salisbury has been fueled by defeat.
We kind of came up short last year, literally inches short against Newton Conover, and our kids had the theme all year to play to get back to round 4 and try to fix that 1-yard mistake.
A 3-3 start to the season had some questioning whether progress was being made, but there was a method to Joe Pinion's scheduling madness.
And you got Davie County, who we played, and West Durant, who we played, are both here, and that's a 3A and a 4A representative. You got an Albemarle, who was scrimmage, who's a 1A representative. So our kids are battle-tested.
The Hornets have something special in Romar Morris, who boasts some 1,600 yards rushing and 28 touchdowns.
He's the guy that makes the big plays, the home runs, and I taught him how to be fast. But joking-wise, he's one of the fastest players I've ever coached in my life.
The Hornets also have a quarterback in John Knox, who is even greater than the sum of the parts.
John just has been a great signal caller for us for years. He makes things happen that should not happen.
Never count out the Hornets and never count out their 12th man.
You know, I joked with Chris Norman before the Shelby game. He said, "Doesn't look like there's going to be many people on your side." And I said, "Our people still think high school football starts at 8 o'clock, so they'll be here."
Salisbury takes on Northeastern for the 2AA title Saturday night in Winston-Salem. Jim Connors, News 14 Carolina.
Time for a break. Stay with us because there's still much more to come on the season finale edition of the Discount Tire Friday Night Final.
Yeah, straight ahead. We keep looking forward, but first we take you back. This is one of the many Reed's Jewelers plays of the state we brought you this year. Fuquay Arenas, Ricky Ferguson with a 75-yard run for the touchdown. Welcome back to the season finale of the Discount Tire Friday Night Final on News 14 Carolina. He's Ryan Welch. I'm Tim Baer. We continue our Saturday previews.
That's right, Tim. The 3A matchup features perennial power West Rowan against Eastern Alamance. We turn it over to News 14 Carolina's Mike Solarte with a preview.
The Eastern Alamance Eagles make a return trip to the 3A title game to try and avenge the defeat to the hands of West Rowan from a year ago. Head coach John Kirby says his team's attitude is far different than it was for this game last year.
I think last year our kids were excited to be here, and I think this year they feel like they belong to be here. You know, last year they jumped on us 20-0 out of the gates, and we were wondering, you know, do we really deserve to be here or not?
The Eagles do belong here after running the gauntlet of beating Rockingham County, Mount Pleasant, Northeast Guilford, and then getting past Havelock in the Eastern Final. And they're doing it with big contributions from Javante Ellison, carrying the mail out of the backfield.
You know, what a breakout year he's had, and he's gotten stronger over the last several weeks, and last week he was over 200 yards for the game. But, you know, I think he'll credit his offensive line in front of him, but I'm not sure. You know, I've heard players in the past say, you know, we sure block better when Javante's back there.
The Eagles allowed 25 points to Havelock last Friday, the most allowed this season, due to some degree to a hobbled Nick Miles. Miles is close to 100% as he recovers from an ankle injury.
He's probably 80% right now, hoping to get better this week where he'll be closer to 90 to 100%. But, you know, a 90% Nick Miles is a lot better than 100% of others.
On the other side of the equation, West Rowan brings in the nation's longest winning streak at 45 games. And as players come and go, one thing has been a constant over that span: quarterback B.J. Sherrill.
He's 45-0 as our starting quarterback. He started the third game of the season as a sophomore and has yet to lose yet. So hopefully he can finish his high school career with one more victory.
The Falcon ground game hasn't missed a beat, even with the departure of K.P. Parks to Virginia. Dinkin Miller ran for over 1,500 yards and was the workhorse back for the Falcons.
He has huge shoes to fill, and I don't think anybody will ever fill those shoes, or not for a very long time. But Dinkin's done a great job. He has gotten better as the season went along. He is undersized, but, you know, still finds a way to get it done for us.
All this winning has elevated the West Rowan program into elite status, but Young says while his staff and players are enjoying it, it's also about the folks in and around Mount Ulla that are getting a big kick out of all the success.
Our community and our school takes tremendous pride in what our teams have accomplished, and we view it as something to share, and we try to get everybody to buy into it, from the teachers to the administration to the entire community, and everybody does. And I think everybody thinks they have a hand in it, and they're really fired up about it.
Eastern Alamance and West Rowan tee it up once again on Saturday at 3 at Carter Finley Stadium. Mike Solarte, News 14, Carolina.
The 3AA matchup gets primetime status on Saturday night when the Northern Guilford Nighthawks tangle with the Crest Chargers. Once again, News 14 Carolina's Mike Solarte has a preview.
At the tender age of 3, Northern Guilford will chase its first football title in its first title game appearance. That's a long way away from where things were when the school first opened in 2007.
You know, this is only our second year of actually playing varsity competition, and we didn't even have a playing field of anything until 2 years ago. So they're used to it.
Their overall record of 13-2 is impressive, but more than that, their postseason has been outstanding, knocking off 4 conference champions to reach the championship game. Offensively, this team is doing it by committee.
No one has carried the whole load. We've got two good running backs, Muhammad Keller and TJ, and also we have 2 quarterbacks, which a lot of people don't have, Daniel Dowling and Rocco Scarfone, and we got several receivers, Maurice Harris. We kind of spread things around.
Coach Roscoe says having 3 years with mainly the same players in the same system is a key to their early successes. And as time goes by, they hope to resemble their opponents from Boiling Springs.
They've got an excellent tradition, and that's what we're trying to do with ours. Our team this year, last year set the standard. This year has gone above the standard, and this is the part that our tradition will be built on.
Speaking of that Crest tradition, it's been a long time since their last state championship, 2004. Sure, it's only 6 years, but those are the expectations placed on first-year head coach Mark Barnes.
Starting in June, it's been a tall order for our players, and you know, they're to be congratulated. They bought in each week a little bit better, and we had some stumbles during the year, and we didn't let those keep us from progressing, and you know, we're excited about being here, but did we expect to be here? Probably not.
The road to the 3AA final brought Crest into Charlotte to take on Charlotte Catholic, and the Chargers took the Cougars out early and never let up. Big play after big play forced Catholic to get away from what they love to do. That was the game plan.
If we could give them behind early in the game and make them have to play a little faster than they wanted to offensively, then we would have a big advantage in trying to make them. It's kind of crazy, you know. You talk about wanting to make teams one-dimensional, but we want to make them have to be two-dimensional and have to throw the football, and we were able to do that.
There are several key players in the Crest Gold and Green. Kendall Key burned Catholic on a couple of big plays. Raheem Ledbetter added his efforts on defense as well. And Patrick Bowman calmly kept things rolling under center.
It's kind of a cheap shot to a quarterback when you say he manages the game well. You know, they don't want to hear that. But that is what Patrick's really good at. He's not egotistical at all. He'll be happy Saturday if we throw it 6 times and win. He'll be happy if we throw it 26 times and win. But he won't be happy if we lose.
Crest and Northern Guilford go head-to-head Saturday night at 7:30 at Carter Finley Stadium. Mike Solarte, News 14, Carolina.
The 4A division will have a first-time champion no matter which team wins, because both Hillside and Davie County are making their first trip to a title game. In sports, we are big fans of the Cinderella story, and in this year's high school football playoff picture, Davie County comes straight out of Central Casting. The War Eagles started out 0-3, ended up as the 10th seed in the 4A West, and now they'll represent their side of the state on Saturday morning.
It's been a special fit for us, and you know, our kids have bought into being that underdog, being that Cinderella, but you know, more importantly, we focus on just one game at a time, one play at a time, one day at a time, and we keep things in perspective that way. Let's see what happens. You know, maybe something special can happen.
The War Eagles have used the air game to their advantage. Carson Herndon has 2,300 yards through the air, cashing in for 19 touchdowns. He's been the field general this team has needed in 2010.
He's been a valuable asset to our offense, and the fact that he can run and pass. And he's been a very, you know, heads-up type quarterback where that he, you know, tries to pre-snap read what's going on and put himself in a good situation before the ball's ever snapped. And of course, it's been a growing experience for him, you know, this year being the starting quarterback, and last year that he shared the responsibilities of growing into that position. But this year it's been solely his, and you know, he's proven a very valuable asset that you know, he's got to spread the ball around the field to some good receivers that we have, but he also has a responsibility of running the football as well.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, Hillside was expected to be here. They haven't lost a game all season and entered the playoffs with the top seed. When Coach King looks back at the start of the year, he could see this coming.
We thought we had championship. We had a lot of returning experience. A lot of the guys played with us 2 years ago. We made it to the Eastern Regional, so we knew we had the experience. We just had to make sure we can put everything together and give a good run.
Vad Lee has been the key ingredient for this Hornets squad. The senior quarterback is slated to play at Georgia Tech, but before he takes off for the ACC, he's hoping to bring a state title back to Hillside. His nearly 3,000 yards passing is impressive, but then add to that more than 1,000 yards on the ground.
Vad is the key that makes the car drive, so he's done everything. He's waited his turn. He's, you know, a sophomore year, he was a receiver. Played behind Corey Gaddis, who's now at Duke University. So he waited his turn and came up 2-year starter. And, you know, he's the leader of the team. He's the heartbeat of it. So, you know, everything starts with him.
Both these teams will battle a little stage fright, but whoever can find their groove on the field first could come away with their school's first title. This one kicks off at BB&T Field on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. This next division championship will play out live right here on News 14 Carolina. That's Saturday morning at 11 a.m. and the 4AA game will feature a matchup of two powerhouses. Butler, who makes their second trip in a row, and Wake Forest Rolesville, who will get their first taste of championship action. The Butler Bulldogs should have strolled back to the championship this season after an impressive 2009 campaign, but adversity quickly became the headline for their team. Off-field problems led quarterback Christian LeMay and Dion Walker to leave the team, meaning other players were forced to step up much sooner than expected.
You know, they say once you come to this thing and win it, that it's easier to make it back. And if you'd have told me at the beginning of the year that we had lost, an All-American quarterback, and then at one point lose our one of our best outside linebackers, and then, lose our leading rusher and leading scorer, and for us to still make it back here, everybody in the world would probably told you you're a fool. But, for us to get back here and to make it back here, it is making it sweet, and it is definitely showing our kids that, you can fight through adversity.
Much of the talk often revolves around the quarterback play of sophomore Riley Ferguson. But the real workhorse for this Butler squad has been Juwan Edwards. He has 199 carries for more than 1,200 yards and 27 touchdowns.
Juwan Edwards is a beast, and I'd hate to watch that kid on film and think that, we had to defend him and what he brings to the table, because I think he may be the most underestimated player on our team. He's definitely, if you had to pick somebody to play, he would be one of your first-round draft picks, there's no doubt, to play for you. He's not just been a great football player for us, he's been a great leader, he's been an emotional leader for us. He's not a guy that talks a whole bunch, he's a guy that plays a whole bunch, and that's what we like about him, and we'll continue to ride him, all the way up here to Raleigh, and then hopefully to win Saturday.
In some ways, the Bulldogs will be looking in the mirror on Saturday morning, because for the past 2 seasons, the Cougars have fallen one game shy of the state title matchup, something that makes them even more hungry.
We're fortunate to be in this situation, but not only Butler is the measuring stick. They're defending state champions, and we're fortunate to come in this year and play against them.
Wake Forest Rolesville has dealt with adversity of their own. For more than a year, they had to play their games on the road and practice at the middle school. Getting back in their own stadium at the end of this season helped them cruise through the playoffs.
Well, I think they appreciate, especially getting back to our school, Trentini Stadium, and playing at home. And we've been fortunate this year to play a lot of games, for the playoffs. We haven't traveled at all. I think by us traveling, on the road all the time the past year, that it's gratifying to be at home, but not only that, they've taken it to heart.
In the last decade, the East has only won the 4AA championship once. The Cougars hope to be the second. This game kicks off Saturday morning at Carter Finley Stadium with live coverage on News 14 Carolina beginning at 11 a.m. Well, we're almost done, but we have one more look back at plays of the state in 2010. The Havelock Rams receiving Andy Keel following a drop, takes a handoff on the reverse, and Keel races through a bevy of Falcons 75 yards. Not a bad play there. We'll be right back.
Well, before we wrap things up, a reminder that the 4AA matchup can be seen live right here on News 14 Carolina. Kickoff is Saturday at 11, and all the championship games will be available on Carolina On Demand starting next week, channels 199 and 1047.
And we'd like to thank all the viewers out there who have watched some great football with us this season. You helped make such a successful show. We'd also like to thank everyone behind the scenes as well.